Forza Horizon 6 is on the horizon. I'm sorry. But it's going to be a while, so let's take a look at the origin and the story of the Forza Horizon series. Forza Horizon was developed by Playground Games in collaboration with Turn 10 Studios, who were the developers of Forza Motorsport, and was published by Microsoft Studios. This was also Playground Games' first project since they were formed. The decision to hand over Microsoft's prestigious Forza franchise to them was a huge gamble, but it clearly paid off. The game was released in 2012 exclusively for Xbox 360, set in the fictional Colorado during the Horizon Festival, a street racing celebration combining cars, music, and open-world exploration. They blended Forza Motorsport's realistic physics and car authenticity with arcade-style accessibility in what was a more casual atmosphere where players could take part in various races, stunts, and activities in an open world featuring highways, canyons, and dirt roads. The game had real DJs and 3 audio stations with licensed music. It also had a barn find feature, which was basically a scavenger hunt for classic cars. Players received clues for general locations of a barn containing a classic car, and after finding them, the cars would be restored and added to the player's garage. Playground Games inherited the Forza Motorsport 4 engine from Turn 10 Studios and transformed it for open-world gameplay. They had to lower the FPS from 60 to 30 to accommodate the open world, implemented custom technology called Uber loading to handle draw distances up to 20 kilometers, and introduced over 200 time-dependent parameters for a full 24-hour day-night cycle. And they also developed a real-time shadow system. The game featured realistic physics using real-world data, extensive car customization, and a skill-based system rewarding stylish driving with points, and also just for running over stuff. The game actually launched the same month as Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, being its direct competitor in the racing space. Horizon had realistic driving physics with a more casual and less serious atmosphere compared to sim racers like Motorsport and Gran Turismo, becoming a middle ground. While we don't have exact sales figures for this game, it's without a doubt that it was successful enough to establish the Forza Horizon subseries. The game was received very well by critics and fans alike at the time, being considered one of the best open-world racing games. Forza Horizon 2 released in 2014, developed by Playground Games for Xbox One and Sumo Digital for Xbox 360, with support from Turn 10 and published by Microsoft. The two versions were fundamentally different games built on different engines. The Xbox One version used the Motorsport 5 engine, while the Xbox 360 version used the same engine as Horizon 1, making it in a lot of ways inferior to the Xbox One version. The game takes place in southern France and northern Italy. The map is now 3 times larger than the first game, with over 200 cars and 700 racing events. It introduced dynamic weather systems with rain that created puddles and affected handling, and the new driver tour system was adapted from Forza Motorsport 5. The Xbox One version also featured online free roam for up to 12 players in a shared world. Development for this game began shortly after the first game's success, with Playground Games investigating over 30 locations worldwide before settling on Southern Europe for its fantastic driving roads, diversity, and stunning vistas. Creative director Ralph Fulton noted that the most recent open-world racers were set in North America, making Europe feel fresh and different. 2014 was a pretty big year for racing games. The year saw the release of Forza Horizon 2, Drive Club on the PS4, and The Crew on all platforms, alongside Project Cars. Forza Horizon 2 sold 360,000 copies in its first week. By early reports, it sold approximately 1 million units across both platforms. It was received well by fans and critics for the weather system, massive car list, and beautiful open world on the Xbox One version. The Xbox 360 version lacked a lot of the new features and was very much a downgrade. The Xbox One version also introduced wheel spins. Every time you leveled up, you would get a spin, giving you a chance to win a car, basically gambling. Now, most of these cars from these spins were also available in the in-game store, but there were some wheel spin exclusive cars which could only be obtained by RNG. A standalone Fast and Furious expansion was released for this game to promote Furious 7, featuring Ludacris and cars from the films. The game also introduced Horizon Blueprint, allowing players to make custom championships, set routes, weather conditions, and other rules. While it did sell well, it sold roughly half of what Drive Club sold in the same year. Forza Horizon 3 released in 2016, developed by Playground Games, Turn 10, and published by Microsoft Studios. This was the first Forza Horizon game released on both Xbox One and Windows 10 at the same time. The game was set in fictional Australia and positioned the player as the boss of the Horizon Festival, allowing the player to decide what to develop in the festival first and gradually expand it across the country. The map was twice the size of Horizon 2, with coastlines, rainforests, outback, and urban areas. The game launched with 350 cars and introduced co-op campaign mode for up to 4 players. The team chose Australia because of its varied terrain and even sent a research team to capture the continent authentically. They used a 12K HDR camera to capture actual Australian skies and implemented them into a voxel-based global illumination system that calculated real-time light bounces for realistic shadows and lighting. There was also a drone mode now. Although it's very limited and didn't really fly too high, it was handy for finding barn finds. There was also now an auction house letting players sell cars to others online, which also let players buy wheelspin exclusive cars from other players. Of course, you still have to grind for money, but it's nice to have an option to get the car without relying on complete RNG. They also improved car customization and had more character outfits and accessories. The year didn't have any major releases, and racing games in this period were exploring live service models and extensive post-launch support. It sold over 2.5 million copies by December 2016 and surpassed 10 million players by September 2018. These sales helped push the entire Forza franchise past $1 billion in revenue. The game was received extremely well by critics and fans, with players calling it an almost perfect arcade racer, praising its phenomenal visuals, addictive gameplay, and open world. The game also received 2 major expansions, Blizzard Mountain in 2016, adding snow and winter driving, and Hot Wheels in 2017, featuring Hot Wheel tracks in the sky. Forza Horizon 4 released in 2018, developed by Playground Games with support from Sumo Digital for the Steam release, and Panic Button for Xbox Series X and S. This was also the year Playground Games was acquired by Microsoft, becoming part of Xbox Game Studios. The game was set in fictional Great Britain and introduced a very innovative feature to the series: dynamic seasons that change weekly for all players simultaneously. The shared open world supported up to 72 players per server, replacing AI-driven drive avatars with real players in free roam. The game launched with over 450 cars and introduced property ownership and an expanded progression system. The seasonal system was the game's defining innovation. Each season lasted 1 real-world week and changed simultaneously for everyone. Each season dramatically altered gameplay. Lakes froze in winter, opening shortcuts, mud became impossible in autumn, and spring brought rain and flooding. The team chose Great Britain for its scenic diversity and ability to showcase seasonal variations effectively. Around 2018, the sim racing market was dominated by Gran Turismo in the PlayStation space, while arcade racers struggled to match Horizon's polish. The Crew 2 launched in 2018 but received mixed reviews. The game reached 2 million players in its first week and peaked at 12 million players by 2019, maintaining 4 million monthly active players throughout 2019. It was praised by critics and fans as one of the best open-world racing games. The game also had 2 expansions, Fortune Island in 2018 with extreme weather and treasure hunting, and LEGO Speed Champions in 2019, featuring a Lego-built world with LEGO cars. The game was later also released on Steam in 2021, expanding its player base. Forza Horizon 5 released in 2021, developed by Playground Games with support from Sumo Digital, and was later ported to the PS5 in 2025 with help from Panic Button LLC. The game was set in fictional Mexico and had the largest map in the series, with 11 distinct biomes. The game launched with over 500 cars, later expanding to 700, and featured dynamic seasons tailored to Mexico's climate. Vehicle customization was also expanded with over 100 new rims and parts. The developers sent researchers to Mexico to capture authentic landscapes, architecture, culture, music, and art. The technical achievement was staggering. Mexico's 11 biomes each had unique audio signatures, so canyons echoed differently than jungles. The team used procedural generation tools like Houdini to create the massive, diverse open world efficiently. The game introduced Event Lab, a hub for players to create and share custom maps and races. It had Horizon Arcade featuring minigames and Forza Link, a new multiplayer communication system. And it expanded the story campaigns and expeditions. The racing market in 2021 was waiting for the next generation console capabilities. Gran Turismo 7 was scheduled for 2022, Need for Speed was between releases, and the Crew franchise continued with moderate success. The game hit 4.5 million players in under 24 hours, the largest launch day for any Xbox Game Studios title, and reached 10 million players in the first week, passing 50 million by August that year. The game was praised by both critics and fans and achieved the highest rating in the series on Metacritic with a 92. The Xbox Series X version became the highest rated new game of 2021 on multiple aggregators and won multiple awards. It had 2 expansions, Hot Wheels in 2022 and Rally Adventure in 2024, focusing on off-road rally in Sierra Nua. It is also the first mainline Forza game released on the PS5. And with that, we're now back in the present, with the next Horizon game set in Japan, launching in 2026. This is Narky, thanks for watching.